we are going to move forward to a very interesting panel, and I will introduce you with these prominent women who is going to join this panel. Thank you very much for joining, ladies. It's an honor for us to have you on board. Before we start the discussion, I want to introduce the patron of our panel as well. So we have three ladies, and the common thing between them is they are expert of personal development, and they can do a lot of things in your personality to improve you as a corporate person. And so what we have a pattern is you have to introduce yourself one by one, and then we will take up the discussion onwards.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Musa.
Yeah, so Nada, can you introduce yourself more in detail for the audience?
Yes, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to be with you today and sharing all my journey for having being here with you and following my passion through excellence and NLP. I am NLP coach and certified NLP coach and master practitioner, business excellence expert as a profession with 13 years of experience in the corporate from quality and excellence. And I'm gonna share with you today about how can we empower women to pursue their dreams and have this eagerness for education and be very eager to learn more and have this power.
That's amazing. So if we just introduce all the panel, and then I will come back to you for the detailed discussion. Okay. So let's move towards Fatima. Fatima, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, thank you, Musa. This is Fatima Mohammed from Algeria. I'm very grateful to be here today to share and to learn. Thank you so much for our Berkeley Middle East host, the amazing ladies who've shared their journeys with us today, and for everyone in amongst the audience. I always like to introduce myself as the dreamer action taker, because these two have definitely shaped my career. But if going into details, I'm the CEO of Better Ever After, certified happiness life coach and NLP master practitioner, Amazon best-selling author of Tear the Veil, and an author of 2 more books and an audiobook, international speaker on different stages, including TEDx, Wikistage, and Hot Prize, and someone who just loves to share the journey of love, of happiness, and prosperity, and so many levels with women and with everyone on this world. Thank you again for having me, and I look forward to share more with you.
That's an amazing introduction, and I'm really personally excited to have your thoughts, being you are an Amazon best-selling writer, and you are a TEDx speaker also. So let's move to Sharifa. Sharifa, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you're tuning in from. I'm Sharifa AlSagaaf. I'm a certified L&D expert and NLP coach and practitioner with over 11 years of HR experience. I've worked with some of the biggest names in retail, properties, hospitality, malls, having supported the L&D needs of about more than 5,000 employees. I'm a firm believer, and I'm very passionate about people development. And really enabling people to realize their true potential. And that's something that I want to touch on today.
That's an amazing introduction, and I'm really looking forward to listen to your thoughts. Now let's move back to Nada. Nada, your topic seems very interesting, so Mike is with you. Please go ahead.
May I please share the screen? I wanted to share the screen.
Yeah, please go ahead. There's maybe a button down for you is sharing, and there you can share your file.
Okay. Let me know, please, if you can see it.
So far, we cannot see anything.
Yeah.
At least me, I can't see anything.
Yeah, me neither.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, 1 minute.
Maybe you can try again sharing. I guess you need to open the file first, and then you have to
I'm
click the
opening
share
it
button.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, opening it now.
It's a bit of troubleshooting in terms of IT. I can do it for you.
Yeah, not yet.
I guess for me, I can't see. Yeah.
No worries. I'll
see
speak.
either.
It's okay. This is another screen is in front of me, so that we save some time. Actually, I'm an expert in several areas, including emotional intelligence, personal branding. I have my program called the Renew You, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, how we can improve ourselves, and anxiety management, communication skills, and women empowerment. So I have a diverse range of programs that I offer to women for the empowerment. My journey started actually in 2018 when I have started to empower women to do a lot of workshops for them and explore more about NLP. You know, NLP is the power of using our subconscious mind, which is 90% of our communication. Imagine yourself speaking and communicating in only 10% as an active communication, but also 90% is our subconscious mind. I use this passionately to introduce all the aspects of NLP. I've done a lot of workshops with schools. I've developed something called anti-bullying kit, which is specifically, talking about bullying and how to have a voice, especially for women. I did this for the teenagers. I invited everyone, for the parents and teenagers, and I did this anti-bullying kit for having this voice of women. This resulted in many workshops with the schools that I've been invited to, and resulted for me winning the NLP International as a finalist, International Awards in the education sector among 3 around the world, and also being the Woman of Wonder of 2020 as for my community contribution. So it's been a very, very long journey. However, I did it out of having a voice. So I felt like every woman has a voice, especially teenagers. Their voice is not always heard. They're not always expressing themselves. So actually, I found this as a cause for the society and the community. And knowing that also everyone is different. This is exactly what I wanted to share today with all the audience, that each and every individual is unique and different. So if we find out what is the difference and what makes people unique, we will be able to identify their strength and give them this kind of huge power that they can conquer the whole world. So actually identifying this through the communication styles of each and every individual. NLP speaking about that people have are either auditory or kinesthetic or visual. So knowing what kind of communication I need to tie this to other people, how can I tie my communication to reach them better? Knowing their learning style, knowing their communication style, and tying this as an educator or as a teacher or even in the whole society, how can we communicate better? How can we improve and capitalize on the strength of each and every individual? If we only knew this, if only this happened even in our society, in our corporates, how much is it important for the communication to reach us? We will be able to learn more and to capitalize on education in all and each and every aspect. Speaking also about the limiting beliefs, which are holding us from learning and trying new things, especially for girls. They might have a lot of sometimes with the society, some beliefs that they have been programmed at. If they only identify these beliefs and capitalize also on how they overcome these beliefs and fears, I'm sure that all the women will do wonders. speaking today only about women, but this is all this can be for women, this can be for men, and each and every individual. I truly believe in the strength and uniqueness of each and every individual, and this is what NLP is a tool, is again something that one of the tools that we can use. But however, it's about the mindset. We need to have this mindset and a strong belief that each and every individual is unique in his own. Looking into our programs, visiting our beliefs, overcoming our fears, making sure that our fears are not hindering us from achieving our goals. This will all lead us to achieve and do wonders in the world, especially in our time where there is a lot of concerns and anxiety around the world now. We need to have true believe in ourselves, in our skills, in the God's talents. Each and every person has a talent that God has gifted us. So it's all about our gaining back the confidence in our strength, gaining back the confidence that we can do whatever we want to do if only we focus our mindset, which is exactly NLP is speaking about. 90% again of our mind is subconscious mind. So it's our thoughts, it's our actions, it's our beliefs, it's our values. This is all will lead us to conquer and do wonders in our world.
That's amazing. I think let's involve Fatima to share her thoughts, and then we will take up Sharifa, followed by her. Yes, Fatima, mic is with you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Sharifa, for sharing your thoughts on NLP. My intervention is kind of the pre-story of what Sharifa just did. So that would have been really nice if I went first and then she went second, because it makes for a great continuation. I'm a firm believer that until we empower ourselves, until we find everything within ourselves, then we can power it and then we can pass it on to others. And then this is one of the quotes I included in my first book. Everything starts from within. Love starts with self-love, care starts with the care from and then power starts with the strength within. And then this is why today my intervention today is called The Power of Being You. Now, when I saw the title, the theme of today's conference, the word global and businesswoman, these two words were not among my glossary of achievements or potential while growing up as an Arab woman. Not because I had a lack of imagination or lack of self-belief in myself, but because I was not taught. I was never even led to believe that there were options at my disposition in the first place. And I'm not the only one. I believe that there were so many girls that they grow up with this very boxed and limited way of education and teaching, that instead of teaching them that they can fly, and yes, ladies, we can fly, it trims their wings. Both family and school and corporate later on do play a major role in this. I would call them co-conspirators. But then we don't stop there. I remember when growing up, I was always asked this question: what do you want to do when you grow up? What is your dream job? We were always told that we can have jobs. No one told us that we can actually create them. And that's something that, for me, I had to actually find out on my own. And it was while working for a corporate, sitting in an auditorium full of other teaching staff, most of which were ladies. And then there was a guy taking the stage and hurling threats at us and telling us that if we didn't like the horrifying way they were treating us, well, the market was oversaturated with teachers, with employees who would jump at it. And that's when I was like, I took notice of the horror on everyone's faces, on the silence that had befell the room, and then on the quietness. Every rebellious voice grew fainter and fainter. And that's when I realized I don't want to work for someone like that. In fact, I actually want to be my own boss. well, I didn't know anything about being my own boss because, again, I was not taught how to be my own boss or how to be someone who owns their own business and who gives and caters to other people's needs. And when I told everyone, including myself, that, you know, I'm out, I don't want to have this job anymore, I remember also like the look on their faces, because no one dared say anything to me. It was a mixture of shock, terror, panic, doubt, and also pity. I was like, what are you going to do? And probably for a very long time in my life, I said, I don't know, but I will figure it out. And the not knowing part did last for some time, because I don't want to over-romanticize the whole thing. You know, I was just sitting, I walked, and then there was a tree, and then I had like a light bulb going on. Like that. It took some time of not knowing, of definitely having doubt. I was not certain. I was not ready for it. And when people ask me, what are you going to do next? I just kept saying, I don't know, but I will figure it out. Because here's the thing. Yes, I was not taught these things, but I knew that I could spend some time learning. I spent the time, actually, and I did some learning. I did some searching. I did some self-rediscovery, and I reconnected with my real old dreams. And that's when I started turning things around. I'm someone who's worked in Saudi Arabia for some time, and Saudi, just like UAE, they are following in like they're doing so much for women. But then the girls I was teaching at that point, I asked them the question, "What is your dream?" And out of 30 students, but most of them said, "Well, why dream? It is pointless to dream because, well, the greatest thing we could do is become a cashier in someone else's company." It's like, no. And I took them to the college's wall of fame, where portraits of these beautiful, talented Saudi ladies hang there. And they have done amazing things in every domain of life you can imagine. Just look at them. They were raised in families just like us. They went to the same universities. Well, they lived in the same society. The only difference is that they didn't settle. They didn't take no for an answer. They still went for it despite all of those hurdles in their ways. And they made it happen. And instead of hearing, yes, miss, we can do it, I usually get, but it's too late. It's like, no, love, it's never too late to dream. Dreams, goals don't have deadlines. They don't have expiration dates. Like, take it from me. I spent years of my life running from one education to the other, from one job to the other. And then one day I had that snap and I thought, okay, no, I actually can do things myself. And as I introduced myself, it's been a year since I created Better Ever After. And we are catering now for customers from more than 7 countries around the world. We have speaking engagement. We do consulting, coaching. I'm writing my books. I have interviews on TV, podcast, and it's working on me. I'm thriving. And I know that others can thrive too. And then this is the kind of education I want us to offer to our girls, be it mothers, sisters, daughters, nieces, friends, any woman we cross paths with. This is the kind of education I want us to make available for our women, young and adult. You can be a Khadija, the Prophet's wife, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can be Oprah, you can be Lalla Fatma, you can be Serena Williams, you can be Charlize, you can be Jelena, you can be Khulud, you can be Nada, you can be any one of these amazing, beautiful ladies, and much, much more. Everything you need, ladies, is already deep inside you. It's your uniqueness, and it's the power of being you. Like, that's something no one can match or no one can take away from you. Thank you. This has been my piece. I hope it has lightened up your path, and it would probably lead you down the path of a better ever after of your own as well.
Amazing thought. I think this is the starter, main course is still there. So we will come back to you and we'll take a lot of more thoughts about your journey about transforming yourself from an employee to an employer. So let's move towards Sharifa. Sharifa, what are your thoughts of the day?
I think it's very inspiring and motivational so far. So I'm kind of happy to continue on the same route. And something that I really thought about, and I just like to start off by saying that at the moment, obviously, the biggest concern is obviously the job market has definitely been affected by the pandemic. And as an HR and L&D expert, what I wanted to do is share a few points on how us women can actually improve our chances of employment. And with that being said, what you find very often, as information is how do you apply for jobs and all of that. But something I wanted to look at is considering obviously tough times, everybody is fighting the same battle. And what we need to do is how to stand out. And that's something that very interesting was a topic that we heard throughout. It's everyone had something different to say about how you can stand out as an individual, as a woman. But something I want to focus on is how can you stand out to make yourself different so companies can hire you. I've spoken to a lot of women, some of which are working, looking to change their jobs, or some of them looking to get employed. And the same thing goes as people are just looking at companies and blaming the companies. I understand that obviously, companies have control over the outcome of employment, but I think we're in control of our personal brand. And that's what makes you different. And that's why companies should hire you. So what I've done is I've packaged a solution in 3 simple steps. And I like to call it KSA, not Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but knowledge, skills, and attitude, right? So I'll start off by the first one, which is the knowledge, right? The knowledge, I like to break it down into 2 parts. The first part is your self-awareness, is your emotional intelligence. I think some of the ladies have brought amazing things to say is, believe in yourself. It's about how you communicate, the visual, kinesthetic, auditory, how you communicate with people. This is all about, being emotional intelligent. That's very important. The second part is obviously your job knowledge. Now, considering obviously, COVID leading to a lot of restructuring, and a lot of roles have restructured and changed the way responsibilities or the way we do things. Considering the fact that training used to be in a classroom and now it's very often virtual, so we need to be able to learn new skills in order to adapt with all of the changes. So that's something that we need to be aware of, is knowledge on myself and my own improving my own self-awareness, emotional intelligence, but also my job knowledge. What are my competitors doing? What do I need to learn, right? And then we go into the S, which is the skills. How do I put my learning to practice? Now, I just want to ask you a question to self-reflect. I'm sure many of us have been to a training and maybe even a conference, right? And a lot of times we're so inspired and so engaged to the point where we think, I'm going to make a difference when I get back. But what happens when we get back to the job is we don't actually make a difference. We continue where we left off because we forget. Right? So something I always ask people to do is create a goal, and not 10, not 5, not even 3, 1 or 2, because that makes it realistic, right? So have a goal to be able to apply whatever you've learned into what you're actually doing. And that way you get to use your skill. It becomes almost second nature, right? And realizing as well, what got you here won't get you there. We always need to change things. Sometimes I speak to people and they tell me, I have 13 years of experience, but a lot of companies have different ways of doing things, right? The way, companies used to work in the 2000s probably won't work the same anymore. So we need to keep adapting. Times are changing. I think the more with time, generation, kids are getting smarter. I think I feel dumber by the day. So people are getting smarter and we need to get on board. So last but not least is attitude. And attitude, I mean working on your mindset, your motivation, what drives you. And I'll give you an example. You can have knowledge, right, which is the K, and you can have the skills, which is the experience. However, so with that being said, before I go into however, is I know how to do my job very well, right? I have the knowledge to do it, and I have the experience because I've been doing it really well for so long. But I'm not doing very well at the moment. And that could probably be triggered by my attitude, meaning something related to whether it's my drive, my motivation, or my mindset. And that's something we need to work on. So we need to be able to change the way we think in alignment to achieve what we want. And that's something that I heard a lot from Fatima. We need to be able to open our mind and just think about, the fact that we can do it. Yes, we're not, sometimes we grow up being programmed to believe, or to grow up in a box, but sometimes we need to step away from the box. And sometimes our limitations are sometimes something that we create on our own. Sometimes your fear is what stops you, not the excuse that you give as a result of it. So it's so important to eliminate negative self-talk and just lead by example. So always remember KSA, right? So your knowledge, whether it's yourself internally, and as well as your knowledge when it comes to the industry, when it comes to your career, your job, and then you have your skills, putting your learning to practice, and your attitude, which is your mindset, your motivation, your drive. Matter of fact, research shows that people who are being coached and empowered exhibit 38% more discretionary effort. So that's just to prove the fact that, it's sky is the limit when you believe in yourself. So don't stop believing. And that's what I have to say.
That's amazing. I think all three of you has thoughts which are full of energy and motivation. With this, I will move back to Nada, and I have a couple of questions I extracted from the common discussion. So, Nada, if you got an opportunity to become the personal coach or a development expert for the president of your country, so what you are going to feed as a neuro inputs that for women, like in your country, what you feel like is lacking, what you want to feed in his or her brain? Can you please let me know?
I will look into her programs. Every one of us has something called programming. Neuro-linguistic programming is actually how we were programmed in the past, and then what language we're speaking to ourselves is called the story. What kind of story are you telling yourself every day? Is it a good story or is it a repetitive story? Are you being in a victim mode or in a creator mode? So again, the victim mode, people sometimes they put themselves into the victim mode. They don't want to go out because it's a comfort zone. So I will look into these things first. I will see whether she has a story that she keeps telling herself so many times that she's not empowering herself to move on and go out of this kind of comfort zone. And what about her beliefs? The top 10 limiting beliefs are: I'm not good enough, I'm not powerful enough, I'm not educated enough. These are kind of stories that we speak to ourselves many times, and it's called the monkey mind. You know the monkey mind, have you heard about it? It's the everything like the monkeys here is always like, telling you the same story every day. So this kind of negative self-talk, internal dialogue, the beliefs, everything is internally that we cannot speak about, but it's us, it's our mindset. If we dig deeper about that, this is where we can start from. Any kind of belief, by the way, is replaceable, which means if we just think about another empowering belief, it's very easy to replace it. It's not a big deal, or it's not something that is, absolutely not doable. No, it's very doable, but it's only about, Sharifa has spoken about the self-consciousness, being aware of yourself, self-awareness, and as well, Fatima, about how much you need to believe in yourself. All these things is only us that we are empowered to do. No one else will come to tell you you need to believe in yourself unless you really want to do it from your heart. You really want to do it, because no one, even for us as coaches, you can say so hundreds of words, but if the person is not willing to change, you just tell them, sorry, I cannot. So it's a self-motivation, and it comes from within. So any woman who needs to change, if she doesn't have this kind of power to change and motivation, even if we say hundreds of words, it will never be going through her heart, and she will never be able to do anything. I can see so many people, like, they don't want to change, they simply just talk, they don't want to change. Every time I speak to them, they're still in the same story. They're not able to empower themselves to change, even with the help. If you don't have it inside you to have this kind of action, take your first action, it would probably not come.
That's it sound to me like those people who listen and don't want to change are mostly the husbands, if I'm not wrong.
Sorry, the experts.
So
No, yeah, actually,
yeah, I was just joking. So my question is from you is there are a lot of women who want to who has already felt that they want financial independence, but somehow because of the negative atmosphere around, it can be a brother, it can be a husband, it can be a father who is actually stopping them not to be doing anything that they think. So how they can, what is your advice how to handle this kind of scenario?
I would say to the woman, do whatever you see that you need to do. If you step up and speak out, and as I said, like empowering the voice of women, speaking out, saying that I cannot tolerate this, I am not this person, I need to change. It's again, it's you have to have a rebellious but also reasonable mind. You cannot say like I will never see you again or something like. No, you have to be reasonable in your requests. I mean, you need to ask their support. You need to have their buy-in with you as well. Yani, going alone in something new is not advisory. You need to have this kind of support system around you, but also never ever, if you want to do something, never ever just sit down and do nothing. You need to speak up. You need to have a voice, and you need to convince them that this is not you. And I always say, like, our fathers, our husbands, our everyone around us, we need them. Masculine and feminine energy are very important in our life. We can never live alone without a masculine, and the masculine never. This is God's, creation for us. So we need to have this balanced, and neither be superwoman without anyone helping her, and neither be a man that he says like, I don't want any woman in my life. No, it's something that is balanced. Everyone has a role in life, and this is why we have been created to support each other again. So my advice is, get them in your in your zone, get them to support you, and never just feel that they are your enemy. They might have their programs as well, they might have their beliefs, they might have their maps. We always say the map is not the territory, which means everyone has his own map, has his own program. So this is what they knew back when they were, raised by their parents. So have some empathy towards the maps, the different perspectives, and get them with you in your whole zone to support you. Any woman, she needs support from people around her.
That's an amazing advice. So I will take some comments from Fatima because she is the happiness coach. So there are so many women in the world which are not happy with their surroundings. They don't have better jobs. They don't have opportunities to uh, the healthcare and education. I mean, they want to study, but no one let them study. If someone let them study, the study is bad quality. So, in all these difficult situations, what you can advise them, how to bring happiness in their life?
Thank you, Musa. Now, here's the thing. When people hear the word happiness coach, they have Santa Claus in their mind. And they think of someone bringing bags and giving everyone freebies. That's not how it works. But, the thing with happiness is that it is a choice, and it's a decision, and it's a mindset, and it's in the here and now. Do you want to be happy? The thing with people is that they wait for everything around them to be perfect, to align for them to be happy. And that's the mistake. Happiness is not a feeling, it's an action. Do the things that make you happy. Now, I've just shared glimpses of my life, but I always tell people I've been through all kinds of things. And I've been on the other side of being that person who's negative and who always focuses on these. But then breaking through to the other side, I realized, you know what? I was just, I lost so many years doing the right thing and focusing on the wrong things. So the first thing is shift your focus, ladies. Shift your focus from the things that you don't have yet to the things that you already have, the things that gratitude has a matchless power. Be grateful for what you already have. And then again, what is it that you, now, you've just said that people that, the women who are going through tough times, who have bad education, you can always do something about it. One of the things that make us feel miserable is the thing, like what Nada has spoken about, the victim mentality and the victim mode that we activate. It's like we think that, oh, wow, we are helpless. You always have a choice. You always have a choice between this and that, between the positive and the negative. You can choose to be happy. You can choose to be successful. You can choose to do something with whatever it is that you have. Now, the good thing about being at rock bottom is that there is no lower place to go. It only goes upward. It only goes the way up. So that's something to look forward to. I tell people, well, what I tell people usually is that shift your focus, practice gratitude, and then build a happy routine around the things that you are doing so that it fortifies it. It helps you. What things make you happy? I usually tell my clients, do and make a happiness list. What are the things that make you happy? Is it a movie? Is it chocolate? Definitely something velvety. Is it being around with a friend? Whatever it is. Well, definitely not doing the dishes, not for me. But whatever makes you happy, put it on a list, write it down. And whenever you feel a bit low, try to use it as a rescue. Like run to it, pick yourself up, and then keep on moving. You are the only person who is in charge, who is in control of your state of mind, of your state of feelings. Do not let others tell you otherwise, and do not let the exterior factors affect that or take it away from you.
That's an amazing. So I will put another scenario in front of you. There are some working women. Their husbands are not working, not workable, even not earning. And on top of it, they have kids as well. And one of the most important thing is that when they go home, they are the victim of domestic violence. Means husbands physically torture them, abuse them, whatever you can say. Domestic violence is a good word for it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, how they can find happiness when they know that there is no escape outside, inside, and they are stuck in the vicious circle. So, what is your advice for such kind of professional women?
Domestic violence is definitely one of the topics that really hit me hard, and I talk about continuously. I've written about them in my books, and I usually speak about them as well in my speeches. I would like to disagree with what you just said, Musa. There is no escape. There is always an escape. No one is stuck. The only place you are stuck in here is this place, your mind. This is what your mind tells you. You are stuck here. You're stuck in this relationship. You're stuck with this person. You can always unstuck yourself. I will definitely tell women, work on yourself, because a woman who's been through an abusive relationship is a woman who is fragile. Her feelings are shattered. Her self-worth is shattered. She's very dependent emotionally, financially on that man. So this is like an advice that I've already given to people, and it definitely has worked, and I'm grateful that it did, and I definitely would love to share it with women. If you think that there is nothing to salvage in that relationship, if you think that there is no redemption for that man who keeps beating you, and it only gets worse, especially I always tell women, it's like cheating can probably be reconciled, and if it happens once, but then the beating once a beater, always a beater. He will always hit you again, and it usually gets more violent with time, and it moves sometimes from the wife to the kids. So if there is no redemption, if there is no salvation, work on yourself first. Build yourself up. Build your independence financially, emotionally, psychologically, mentally. And when the time is right, quit. Because that is the only way. There is an escape. But first you have to work on yourself. And you have to realize that that man is not everything, and that state of marriage is not even a marriage, because it's supposed to be a happy ever after, and you only see in the misery part and like the horrible part of it. And think also of your children, because you can still give them and provide them with that safe haven when there is true happiness, where there is emotional stability, where there is everything that you want. But work on yourself first, and then you will get there.
That's an amazing suggestion to the woman who is the victim of domestic violence. I'm sure that there are a lot of issues and cases I personally feel is increasing. You might know that in COVID-19, domestic violence in different countries has increased to a very high level. And the reason is, of course, you're sitting at home, you're doing nothing, and the financial stress and relation issues are getting all mixed together and increase in domestic violence. According to the statistics, I can predict, I can say, very safely. So with this, we will move forward to Sharifa. Sharifa, yes. So my question from you is that if you become a coach for your country, prime minister or president, and you are very passionate about women development, women entrepreneurship, financial independence. So what you will feed in their brain that can make a difference in, say, 1 year? If I visit your country, I come to know that women in the parliament, they have access to free education, free healthcare. Please go ahead.
So I think we're very lucky with the fact that earlier, I think when you were discussing, UAE, obviously there's a lot of powerful women leadership. It's very something that's spoken a lot, and we're encouraging women very often. I think something that I would do is, upon my years of experience, what I have realized is you will either find extremely ambitious women and sometimes overly ambitious, right? Not knowing how to get there. And then there are some people who are really underestimating themselves. So I think both of them, if I was to put them all together, it's more about self-awareness and the journey of getting there. It's not about, very often I find when I speak to people, and this is not to, put a specific nationality or, to say everybody is like this, but a lot of people that I have interacted with, from the UAE, like working within the UAE of different nationalities, most of them have the mentality of, if I learn or if I go for a leadership course, then I'm entitled to a leadership position. So it's like I said earlier, we talked about, the KSA, which is, do you have the knowledge, but you need experience with time. And it's also about, how you are, your mindset. So it's pretty much about learning about yourself. I think that's something, there needs to be more tools available, such as, for example, coaches and mentors. I think a lot of people, I find very often at the workplace saying, I coach my teams, but actually they're advising their teams. And I think advising people is great, but not when people are not asking for your advice, sadly, right? So coaching is all about empowering people, asking them the right questions and getting them to give you the answers, having them, holding them accountable for their decisions. So number one is self-awareness, but also coaching people, asking them, where do you want to be? What do you have to do to get there? What is stopping you? What are you going to do next? And then meeting them again and being able to, continue that discussion. We need more coaches, more mentors. That's, I think, the biggest thing that we're lacking. And when you hear that, to be honest, it's about quality also and not quantity when it comes to coaches as well. So having quality coaches, having quality mentors.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think, if a woman wants to transform herself from an employee to employer, what kind of coaching you would like to advise them?
Okay. So first of all, I would understand what, what is their goal, basically. It would be a huge topic, when it comes to opening a business, there would be, you know, a lot of things to take into consideration that would be broken down to a lot of different factors. It may be that I would even recommend a couple of people for her to speak to, you know, to be able to advise on certain things. But from my aspect as a coach, I would definitely, you know, ask from them, what is their goal? What does that company look like? Be able to create a realistic plan, you know, from the person's opinion. And it's almost they're creating their own plan, and, you know, allowing them to slowly get through, you know, each phase. It's almost like the discussion you had earlier of people say they want to do things, but then they're afraid of doing it and they don't do it. You know, they say they want to do it, but they really don't. So it's about holding people accountable towards doing it. So it's having that discussion ongoingly, but, you know, allowing them to come up with the answers. And I want to say why I keep repeating coaching them and empowering them and allowing them to you know, to be accountable, is because if I tell you, you have to do this by next week, most probably you're not going to do it, right? Because it's your life, it's your decisions. But if I ask you, what do you need to do? And that's what you tell me. And I ask you by when you would be able to do it, you're most likely to do it because it's your decision. It's something that you came up with rather than being forced to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Like in terms of bottom up and top down strategies,
Exactly.
bottom up is always the perfect one, where we ask every individual to contribute. And of course, once they have contributed, so
Exactly.
they have to follow that. These are beautiful thoughts. And we are almost in the end of our discussion. 5 minutes are left. So I will ask you, like, I will request you to just give your closing remarks. I will start with Nada, then Fatima, and then Sharifa.
I just want to say to everyone, like, never be afraid to try new things. Never say to yourself, like, how can I do this? Forget about the strategy. Just decide that you want to do whatever any kind of goals that you want to achieve. I remember in 2013, I had a lot of depression due to the loss of my mother, and I was able to really transform hugely my life because I just felt more aware of myself, felt more aware of my strength, focusing more on being resourceful, focusing more on what I have rather than what I don't have. So if you only decide to look at what is around you and capitalize on all the resources that you have, learning new skills and not being able to have this kind of fears that limit us, it's all in our heads. So this is really what I want to advise every woman, to challenge herself, to fight for her dreams, and to just believe in herself and what she has as strength, and just never look at the strategy. The strategy will follow, but only look at the story. What kind of story you tell to yourself.
That's an amazing advice. I think one of my friend, he was actually want to follow your advice, but he want to marry second time, but his wife is not agreed to to the story.
This is
and
a bad story.
That's an amazing. I want to thank you very much for joining this, and I'm
so
looking
much.
forward to have you more in the next shows.
Thank you so much.
So let's move towards Fatima and take the closing remarks. Yes, Fatima, what are your closing remarks for the day? I think there is some connection issue. Meanwhile, I can take the closing remarks of Sharifa. Sharifa, please, your closing remarks.
Yeah, so I want to keep it simple. I think throughout the day, the themes were very clear and very inspiring, very motivational. I think it's nice to end it with, look at every challenge as an opportunity instead of a limitation. And that's simply what I'd like to say going forward.
That's very full of seed drops, combined into a box. That's great advice to the women listening to you all over the world. And I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
That's great. So with this, we will move towards our next Yeah, so Fatma has already joined. Fatma, what are your closing remarks of the day?
If I want to leave you with one golden nugget, it would be to invest in yourself all the time. Being here today is already an investment, but keep on doing it. This is the one assured way towards always evolving, always growing. And then that's the only thing that we can do. If we stop growing, basically we die, even if we are still moving and breathing on this. So always invest in yourself through these events. Invest in the things that really matter to you, your learning, your relationships, your growth, your business, your studies. Never stop doing that. And then the second one, it would be to be conscious. Nada has already spoken about how our unconscious actually reserves 90% of our lives. So be conscious of your choices, of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your feelings. And that's the way you can actually make an impact and have lasting changes throughout your life. I would like to thank everyone for sharing the golden pieces that they have done. Berkeley, again, for the invitation, everyone who has tuned in the audience, and I would like to keep in touch and connect with everyone on Instagram, on my other accounts, Facebook and YouTube, but mostly definitely on Instagram, Coach Fatima. I'll see you there.
I think these are lovely thoughts. And Fatima, I would like to have some more conversations in my any other programs regarding women in your country, the motivation, the opportunities about healthcare, education,
Definitely, I would
how you transform. So maybe in any other next program, we will sit together and talk more in detail about it. I want to thank you very much for joining us far away and representing your country, and I'm looking forward to have you more in future.
Thank you.